Why don't we get started with extinction? Topic which is very interesting for us here and for a lot of people, obviously. Lots of questions. So I'll have it be driven by questions and comments. Okay, here's the first one. Okay, fellow says, referring to me, he says, he used to say that we are the last generation of humans. Now he says, I'm only talking about mechanisms, no dates. No, let's make sure we understand. I never gave a date. I've never given a date saying that, like the 1st of May of the year 2028, we're going to all go extinct. Never gave a date. We're not astrologers, okay? We're scientists, okay? Scientists, what does he do? He explains mechanisms, okay? So, and physics is only about explaining mechanisms, okay? So that's what we do here. What's the theory in general terms? If food disappears, man will die no matter what. Now, a lot of people have trouble understanding that. They don't think that's true, that if we don't have any food, we live forever. I guess we breathe air or something. I don't know. Yeah, if food disappears on the planet, we're all dead. Okay, that's the bottom line on that theory. Where do we get that? We say that's what happened to the animals in the past that died in a mass extinction. Food will disappear when, okay, no one produces it. Okay, so if no one produces food, we all sit, right, and just fold our arms, right? If no one produces food or distributes it, for that matter, or whatever is left, for sure, you're going to die of starvation. Okay, so hopefully the only reason you live today is because someone is producing food and someone is delivering it. Okay, I don't know what problem you could have with that, but some people do have problems with that. And then the final part, I guess you could say, is no one will produce food or distribute it, right, when money is no more. Okay, so when money is no more, okay, no one will produce or distribute food. That's in general terms the theory. Now, what part of that you think has to do with astrology? I don't know. It has to do with an explanation of a mechanism. Here we're explaining the mechanism that leads to the demise of our species. That's it. That's all we can say about that. Okay, another fellow raises an issue. I don't know if you've already read it, but I suggest Gary Allen's book, None Dare Call It Conspiracy. Lots of people doing conspiracies these days, especially on the internet, widespread, okay? And all I can tell you is the following as far as Gary Allen's book, okay? The Illuminati will not corral humans in chicken coops or enslave them when money is no more. Why? Because well, first of all, there won't be any new world order, okay? And there will be the extinction of man instead. Why? Because without money or trade, the filthy rich have no means to compel you to do anything. They can't compel the cops to do anything. They can't compel the military. They cannot compel a single human to do something because they have no way of influencing them because there is no money. There is no trade. Okay? That's the bottom line. That's what the theory says. Whether you believe it or not is a separate matter. Right now we're just talking about mechanisms. Okay? Okay, next issue here, next comment. Says, the question you always have to ask yourself is, who is paying Bill Gaede today to tell you to tell YouTube the sky is falling? Is it China? Iran? What's funny is that here we have another fellow, and he says something different. He says, you say that Snowden and Assange are CIA operatives because they are running free. Does that mean you are also a current CIA operative on a mission to reduce the world population? Well, these guys should get together and, figure it out. I mean, one guy says it's China, Iran that's paying me. The other guy is saying it's the CIA, maybe the NSA, or who knows, You guys fight it out amongst yourself, figure out who's paying me, okay? Anyways, meanwhile, I can only tell you here that regarding that last comment, to reduce the world population, the global population growth rate is coming down without my help, believe me. I'm not helping it come down. I'm not scaring anyone not to have kids. We're not having kids because everybody has moved to the cities. You can't have children in the cities. That's the bottom line. It's known as density-dependent birth rates, okay? And I've covered that subject lightly in the past. One day I'll probably cover it in more depth. Okay, now regarding, misinformation, the CIA disseminates conspiracy theories to undermine conspiracy theorists, okay? So keep that in mind. It's to the advantage of the intelligence agencies to have lots of conspiracies out there. Why? Because, it confuses people. People say, well, this guy says that JFK was done by Lee Harvey Oswald. The other guy says it was done by the mafia. This other guy says it was the CIA, you know. And so the more theories are out there, what it does is people roll their eyes and say, oh my God, another conspiracy theory. And so it debases all the conspiracy theories. So the only people who benefit from conspiracy theories, from many of them, are the intelligence agencies. They love conspiracy theories, okay? In fact, they probably throw in some themselves. They disperse some on their own, their own interest. Far-fetched theories are sprinkled to get people to what? To roll their eyes. And you have to choose your conspiracy theories well, okay? Not all conspiracists, okay, believe in the same things, okay? And that's another thing that, helps people in their arguments against conspiracy theories. They say, oh, you're a conspiracist, meaning that you're a flat earther. No, I'm talking about this other thing. No, they put you in the same boat as flat earthers. So everybody who has a conspiracy theory of some kind, they're put in the same boat with everybody else with all the conspiracy theories. And they say, oh, you're a conspiracist. Okay, so you got a label. So what I do, and here you heard it, okay, for the first time, I'm going to give you my conspiracy theories, my list of them, so that you don't misquote me. These are the ones I've researched, and these are the ones I vouch for, okay? Anything that's not on this list is not, you can't blame me for it, okay? So here it goes, just so you know where I come from. These are my favorite conspiracy theories. Secretary of War Edwin Stanton, he was the intellectual author behind Lincoln assassination. Stalwart Roscoe Conklin, he was the intellectual author of the Garfield assassination. The main sinking, U.S. flag. What? To conquer some of the Spanish Empire's colonies out there. Spanish Empire was crumbling, so that's what they did. McKinley assassination, anarchist Leon Czolgosz, he acted alone. He's just, he was a lone gunman, one of the few. Titanic, White Star Line, substituted the Olympic to collect insurance. Okay. Roosevelt attempt, John Schrank, again, lone gunman. I don't think there was any conspiracy there at all. They tried to kill him. He carried the bullet for the rest of his life in his chest. Lusitania, Wilson, false flag, his administration. They needed to re-elect him, so he ran with a ticket saying he kept us out of the war, and the first thing he does is get into the war. And the Lusitania was in the back of people's mind. Okay. Florence Kling, she was the intellectual author of the Harding assassination. He didn't die of natural causes. He was murdered. Okay. Pearl Harbor, U.S. flag to false flag to enter World War II. Okay. Not that they said, "Hey, Japs, come over here and attack Pearl Harbor," but they knew Japan was going to attack, and they said, "Go ahead, knock the chip off my shoulder." Okay. And then here's another group of false flags that more recent, I guess you could say. Hoover, he liquidated Marilyn Monroe. Johnson and Hoover did JFK. Johnson and Hoover did Oswald and a whole bunch of other people, related to JFK assassination. They had to get rid of a lot of people who knew too much. Okay? Gulf of Tonkin, Johnson's false flag, that's essentially known today. Okay? Not too many people have doubts about that. Okay? Hoover did Malcolm X as well. In 1968, man did go to the moon. So that conspiracy that the NASA is doing all this work and stuff so that people don't find out about man going to the moon or the space program, nonsense. Man did go to the moon. Man has gone into space. We do send rovers to Mars, and not only the United States, but Russia and China, and other countries, Japan. Okay. Reagan attempt, lone gunman, John Hinckley, no conspiracy there. I think he acted alone. 9/11 Bush team, false flag, quite evident. No, I don't think there's much question in the minds of a rational person that the Bush team did 9/11. Cheney, he liquidated Senator Wilson and his family, got the plane down. Okay, Wilson was from, Minnesota. And flat earthers, possible false flag. I can't tell you for sure. It's kind of strange that these people grew so fast, so quickly in a relatively short time. Possibly just a snowball that just kept collecting people. It could be run by intelligence agencies. And both Assange and Snowden, those are obviously false flags in my opinion. Okay, I have no problem with looking at those two individuals and saying they are USA assets, intelligence assets. Okay, one fellow says, depression script. Money disappeared during the Depression, so people created local money called Depression script. Okay, so you're wrong. When money disappears, new money appears. No, new money won't appear because trade will be no more, because you only trade, what he's referring to essentially is bartering. Okay, the fact that you use a currency or that you exchange goods or good for service, it doesn't really matter. The point is people won't trade, and in great measure because they won't trust each other once the only thing of value is food. Okay, nobody trades food, whether in the real jungle out there in forest or in the asphalt jungle. Okay. Likewise, when man disappears, a new man will appear. Well, I don't know what kind of man will appear. What, with antennas or something? No, the economy is not built on faith. It is built on confidence. I like that one. By the way, those are some of the Depression script bills that they used in those days. Why do I laugh at what he said? Because it turns out when you look it up, confidence is a synonym of faith. Faith of confidence. Okay, so it's not built on confidence, it's built on confidence. That's all he said. Okay, the Depression script was used during the Depression era in the 30s, right, as a substitute for government-issued currency. Because the banks closing temporarily and the lack of physical currency, someone had to come up with another form of currency to keep the economy going and a way for trade to continue. Yeah, that's when you have the global economy is still running fine. Okay, so that's what we're missing here, the context. The context is that there's still an economy out there, so you create a money because you know you're going to get something in the future. Okay, so that's why you accept that money. Okay, therefore the old idea of local currency was reborn. Paper, cardboard, wood, and all other stuff that they use made from fish skin was used as money. Yeah, again, this is not an issue of whether you can create some money and decide to trade with your neighbor. That's not the issue. The issue here is that you won't trade with your neighbor. Okay. But yeah, you can use anything for money. You can even use, trade your wife for his dog if you want. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Trade only as long as trade exists. When trade is no more, then there's no reason to trade because there's nothing to trade because you won't get anything out of it, and the only thing of value at that point is food. Food is the only thing of value. And here, let me show you an example, okay? Because people have a hard time understanding that trade disappears. Okay, so here we'll give an extreme example so that you understand why trade is not always in the best interest of the parties. Okay, here it goes. Okay, your ship capsized. Okay, and two fellows, they make it to a little island there on shore. One guy brings a treasure chest. He's got all this money. He says, hey, before the ship sinks, I'm going to make sure I get all the money I can out of there. And he goes and brings in the treasure chest. The other guy brings, food. He brings apples, potatoes, whatever you can find in the kitchen, I guess, right? Or in the stockroom. And it turns out he ends up in the palm tree side of the island. Fine, great. Anyways, the first thing they both do is protect themselves, putting barbed wire and building trenches. Why? Because, one guy's afraid the other guy will steal his stuff, right? But it turns out that one guy has an advantage over the other, and that is that he's got the food, he's got the thing that's going to keep him alive. The other guy's just hoping to go back to civilization and use the treasure chest. Well, it turns out that, it all depends on luck. If another ship comes around, yeah, the guy with the treasure chest might be in very good luck. On the other hand, if no one shows up for a while, that guy's in trouble because he's got a lot of money and he has no use for it on that island. Okay, it's the guy who's got the food that's got an advantage, and he can get the treasure chest once the other guy's dead. Now, I don't know if you understood any of that. Some people have trouble understanding all this stuff, but yeah, trade is not always in the best interest of the parties and not necessarily always voluntary. So here, let me give you another little story, okay? And this is not mine. It's, some of you might know it. It says Sanji's Backstory One Piece. You can look it up on YouTube. Little video, cartoon video, just made by the Japanese. And I'll just briefly tell you the story. It's that a pirate and a kid end up on an island just pretty much like these other two guys. This island's completely empty. There's nothing there. And they manage to get some stuff off the ship. Okay, that sank. Okay, so the pirate gives the kid a small bag of food. Okay, and he says, go to the other side of the island and you look in that direction and find out if there's a ship there coming and let me know as soon as possible, as soon as you see a ship that's coming to rescue us. And I'm going to do it on this side. And he keeps a big bag, okay? Okay, so the kid goes to the other side and he watches, and he's eating his food, right? until it finally dwindles to nothing. And he remembers that the pirate, the old pirate, he kept a big bag. He said, that SOB, he's got all that food, and here I'm starving. And so he goes to where the pirate is, and the pirate says, what, did you see a ship coming? Is that why you came over? He says, no, I came because you gave me a small bag of food, and look at the big bag you have. So he takes his knife and rips the bag open, and it's not food. What comes out is all the gold coins, the balloons. The treasure chest was in his bag. He gave the kid the food, and he kept all the money, pretty much like I explained a second ago. And, well, you can look at the moral of the story over there, okay? Anyways, yeah, it's not always a good deal to get treasure, money, bitcoins, Ethereum, or whatever. No. Towards the end of, when the global economy collapses, the only thing of value will be food. You'd be a fool if you go out there and say, oh, I'm going to rob the bank now that the bank's free of people and there's no police. I'm going to rob the bank and take all the money out. Yeah, well, good luck with all that. You know, you won't be able to use it for anything. You'll be stuck on that same island. Okay, another fellow raises another issue, says, what about genetic modification of crops to keep producing food that is resistant to changes in climate and so on? Isn't that kind of science the only thing that can extend the human overall longevity on this planet? This is not about climate change. Believe me, at least not the theory we espouse here. You know, this is not about climate change. What is it about? It's about the economy collapsing. And no one's going to be producing genetically modified anything because you got to pay these guys to do that genetically modified stuff. And the issue is that no one will be planting, no one will be harvesting, meaning that no one will be packaging and no one will be distributing food in any way, shape, or form because the economy has collapsed. What I mean by economic collapse, I don't mean a petty 1929 depression or even a recession. I mean a total collapse of the global economy. No trade, no more trade. Money is no more because people will not accept it because they will not be able to do anything with the money they get, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's fiat money, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay? And bartering, nobody barters food, which is the only thing of value when the economy collapses. You don't trade your car or you don't trade your food for a car. Okay? You let the guy keep the car, you keep the food. When he dies, you take the car for free if there's still any gasoline around. Okay? If anyone manufactures that and distributes it. So, no purpose for genetically modified foods. It doesn't help us at all. Okay, just want to mention, again, related to a subject I touched the other day, which is genetic diversity, okay? And what do we have? We have the African elephants came out, I think yesterday or today. African elephants now listed as critically endangered after dramatic population decline. So the African elephants are disappearing, okay? And partly because of what I explained the other day, the shrinking island theory, that, you know, the world is shrinking. They have less acreage in which to, you know, scrounge around for food. And so, and the reason for that is humans are encroaching on their habitat. Humans are turning a lot of that land into crops, into cropland that is used for food for humans. And the elephants are being cornered. They're being corralled into an island that is shrinking on them day by day. Okay, what does that do? Well, part of the process is the loss of genetic diversity. And here you have a little article. I'm just putting a summary here of what this article says. And there were a couple studies, more than one study. It says Africa has 2 elephant species. Genetic analysis confirms. Well, one of those, at least, it has very little genetic diversity, meaning that you know, the elephants, especially those, I think it was the savanna elephant that was declining in genetic diversity or has very low genetic diversity. They've been around for a while. And not only do we have the problem where, you know, the world is collapsing on them, their islands are shrinking, but on top of that, they're intermarrying within whatever elephants are out there. And so they have a genetic problem as well. And it's typical. You have a double whammy. You know, you have a genetic loss of genetic diversity, and you have the overturning of the population pyramid, which is an issue related to density dependence. Why? Because their islands are shrinking. So you can't continue expanding and having more and more and more elephants, and their sources of food are declining, declining, and declining. And I showed the other day the, what is it, the bacteria or the fungus on fruits and veggies. At first they grow exponentially, but after, their world collapses on themselves under their feet, well, their world starts dropping until they finally become extinct. When there is no more food left, their world collapses totally. Okay, all I can ask is that people who like the issue of extinction, who want to debate or talk about it or put comments or questions, follow Extinction 101 before you do Extinction 102. Extinction 101, mass extinctions of the past, both animals and plants. See if you can answer how animals and plants in the past died, disappeared. If you have a foolproof mechanism, okay? Hopefully you don't have any catastrophic theories, because the problem is you cannot explain selectivity. And then once you have your theory, your foolproof theory, well, then you can say, okay, that's going to happen to man as well, because we cannot avoid that same mechanism. Okay, that's the reasoning behind this. And so, yes, I do have a theory. I'm saying that the animals in the past died when their food sources disappeared, gradually at first and then exponentially towards the end. And they finally went away because their islands collapsed on them. Now, it doesn't mean that all their food completely disappeared, but the forests were getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That means we have a density-dependent issue, means you have the overturning of the population pyramid of different species of animals, in fact, of the whole order. And take, for example, the dinosaurs, the most popular one. And at some point, they disappeared. They disappear because, you just have intermarriage. You have fewer and fewer of these animals, and their islands are getting smaller. You got the whole whammy altogether, including genetic diversity, population pyramid overturn, etc. Okay? That's the general idea. Why is that important? Well, because that's what's going to happen to man. Okay? What's going to happen, our food sources are going to disappear. Why are they going to disappear? Because we're producing the food for humans. Okay? And we won't produce food for humans anymore because the economy collapsed, the global economy collapsed. A lot of people say, well, I'll produce my own food. People who have land out there, and they say, I'll produce my own food. The big problem there is going to be defense. Okay? You're going to have to defend what you grow out there, and good luck with that when thousands of people from the country come and visit you to share in your bounty. Okay, so the mechanism is the disappearance of food. Okay, that's the mechanism for both past mass extinctions as well as the one that I propose for humans.